while we do that, we're also going to transition into our next segment, which is the fact that because it seems like CM Punk will be coming back in, there's talk that AEW will be having a new brand because they don't believe this man can get on with the Elite. Apparently, AEW Collision is meant to be built just purely on the fact that he's coming back, but people are still butting heads and it can't happen. Now, that just shows that two people are being difficult as far as I'm concerned. Two sides are being difficult if we're going to go that far.
There you go.
Yeah.
But here's a question. Is AEW Collision or whatever the show may be a good idea? I want to hear from someone who thinks it's a good idea before I go into what I believe it's not.
Come on, Leon. More wrestling for you.
I haven't heard of this, to be fair.
Oh,
So-
wow.
So what?
All right.
So they're thinking of bringing another show like Rampage.
So here's the thing. So you're going to get...
WWE.
Have you heard of it?
SmackDown
Have you
Raw.
heard of it, Big Tone? Before
I
I go
have.
I've heard of it. I've heard of
So,
it. I have to keep it up to
Correct
date.
me if I'm wrong in anything, but what I've heard, the plan that they're saying is you've got AEW Dynamite and Rampage, which is Wednesday and Friday. Saturday is going to have another show, which is meant to be AEW Collision, and it's meant to be like you're exactly what WWE done. You're going to have a draft, a brand split. It's going to be a draft. People all over. One probably Dynamite is going to be very much Elite focused on whoever they want to work with, and on the other side are those who happen to be Team Punk on AEW Collision, and it's probably because they need a draw. It's
I think it's a good
going
idea.
down the route of Jericho Punk as your headliners for that. That's the way AEW Collision is going to be, and probably FTR because they are Punk guys more than anything else. Then you got your hand up. I'll let you go.
You said anyone else think that's a good idea. I do, but not in the way of separating them lot. What we were talking about previously, everyone should work together like Raw and SmackDown. But the good idea about it is AEW has been signing nonstop for years now, and they have a lot of talent that can't make it on their show. Having a separate show would give a chance to have talents on their show, and they could do it like, say, for instance, Raw and SmackDown. Do you remember when they first split it and people on SmackDown were just the wrestlers, that they were the one that could actually go, and you had that show, and they left it alone and build stars on that one, where you have Raw was the main show what people really watch, and that would be the Dynamite.
Entertainers. Yeah.
So the entertaining show, and that would be more for the young bucks and them, so they can entertain. And then the other show could be more the wrestler show. But that way they get to use all everything. That thing, Rusev, not Rusev. I don't know his name. Miro. When's the last time you see Miro heard anything about Miro?
Injured though.
Okay. When's the last time you heard anything about
Andrade.
Andrade looking at the door.
When's the last time reason why? Because they're not on TV. Yes, right now the TV is mainly what people want to see is the box and see them lot. Sesame Daddy was there, but everyone was like, yay! They made a big deal, but then they weren't really on the show as much. It's a lot of people that are missing primetime spots on the show. So the other show would give people a chance to build stars over there as well. That's a good idea. I don't like the full separation. And with the news with Jericho, Punk has to have a meeting with Jericho about coming back, because Jericho is the real locker room leader. And he had a falling out with Punk as well. And remember, Jericho's a guy that would defend any wrestler against anyone. Big Tone, you love to ask a question. How much would you pay to do ABC against Brock? Jericho did it.
For nothing.
Jericho,
Hey, that guy's got balls of steel, man.
He did it against Goldberg. He did it against everyone. He's the one that would go up against Vince. He did it against Shawn Michaels. When Shawn Michaels had stroke backstage, he did it against anyone. He is a true locker room leader. So if Jericho signs off on Punk, I sign off on Punk.
Interesting. Big Tone, your take on this. Sorry, Leon. Sorry, I saw your hand there. Sorry.
Oh,
Respect.
Right. I didn't know about that show that they were thinking of bringing forward, or maybe it just went over my head. I'm not sure. But if that's the case, I would say that I am for it. But the only way that would work is if they got rid of AEW Dark Elevation. Otherwise, you're gonna have AEW Dark Elevation, AEW Dark, AEW Dynamite, AEW Rampage, and AEW Collision.
Apparently.
Heat,
That's
Velocity,
which is
Raw, SmackDown.
that's just too much. At this present time, right, we've got Raw, SmackDown, NXT, yeah, and okay, maybe NXT Europe, so that's 4. So okay, maybe keep Dark, but get rid of Dark Elevation because otherwise it's just too much content.
But going back to what
I
Ben said, that would be like your Heat and your Velocity to the Raw and SmackDown.
yeah, but the problem is that was then. They don't do that now. It's still too much content. I mean, if that were the case, okay, they've got main event as well. So in a way, it technically does make sense. But my problem with that is like then also ask the question, where's Miro? You know, where's Andrade? And we're not even seeing them on Dark or Dark Elevation. So if they come with this new show, will we see them on that show, whether they may be heading out the door or not? But I think in order for it to work, you would have to get rid of Dark Elevation, keep Dark, then have Dynamite and Rampage, which would be the main flagship, which should be like the main flagship shows, and then the 2 sub shows would be Dark and Explosion, whatever it's called, for the people that don't get enough TV time to have their time on those respective shows.
Big Tone.
Well, like first, like if they was making the show, they've said Collision is gonna be basically their next Dynamite. So the 2 main shows will be Dynamite and Collision. But I think that this is not too much of a good idea, to be honest. I just feel you need to use your pieces on the chessboard a little bit better, and you could make everyone happy. Why are we making a new show when you could just make Rampage 2 hours long, stick Punk on there, and like call it a day? Yeah, people getting along in it. Yeah, they need to actually getting on the show. Yeah, they need to utilize maybe their time slots and what's actually happening on these shows respectively a little bit better. For instance, like if you're on Dynamite, you really shouldn't be on Rampage. Yeah, you can split it that way. As for the Dark Elevation, I struggle to see what the point of those shows is anymore, because they're for the hardcore audience that can't get enough of wrestling. Yeah, who's gonna watch everything. But then you've got Ring of Honor as well. Yeah, on Thursdays, man. Like there's just like a lot going on. There's a lot of content, and it's coming to a point where it's too much. You can't add another 2-hour show on top of all the other shows you got already. Yeah, I just feel you can, but it's a good idea. Like I just feel that they need to sort of look at their chess pieces and just maybe utilize them a bit more. Maybe what Leon's saying is right. Yeah, get rid of Dark, get rid of Elevation, or fuse them into one show or whatnot, and then your Collision or whatever, you can use that. But if you're having Collision, I don't see the point of Rampage. I really don't. Yeah.
Money.
Yeah, money. But again, is it making that much money? Like, is people watching Rampage? That is the question, really. I think out of all of the shows, that come on weekly, the mainstream shows, the most skippable ones is probably NXT and Rampage. Yeah.
You know what? I have to. This is why I was saying the only way that Collision would work is if you got rid of Dark Elevation and Dark. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't even watch those shows anymore. I used to watch them religiously, but then I said to myself, "What's the point?" Because 1 or 2 stories may be getting built on there, but then other than that, it's just a waste of time. It's just like it's more of a jobber show than people getting TV time, and it just gets boring after one point.
And I wouldn't even mind that if they had like stories and a belt. Like if there was actually a point to Dark and Dark Elevation, there was a league and everything. Or maybe you're even actually fighting for a spot on the main shows. But no, these matches just happen and there's nothing. There's no reason for them. And that's my problem.
Exactly. And that's why I say like the only way that would work is if they got rid of Dark and Dark Elevation, have 3 shows: Dynamite, Rampage, and the new one. So like Raw and SmackDown, Dynamite and Rampage are their 2 flagship shows, and then the other show is like the B show where they're fighting for a place on the 2 main flagship shows, and it's a good place for stories to build up. And like you said, Big Tone, it can be a 2-hour show, so it's enough time to transcend stories, to transcend build-ups or a league to get onto the main shows. And it can almost be like NXT in a way, but it's still one of the other 3rd main shows sort of thing.
Right. Can I come at this from a business point of view?
Okay, I'll let you do that and then I'll jump in. Yeah.
So it's a quick one. Do you know why WWE went for 3 hours?
Advertising.
It wasn't to build more stars. It wasn't to tell more stories. Advertisement. They pay a lump sum of money to get their advertisement on there. AEW do this, get a TV deal, they get a big lump check. Here you go, right away. They could just bring the worst crappy on there, but if they do something good and they get more viewers, the next time it comes around for the deal, they get a higher deal. They don't care about the stories. They're putting a shit ton of content out there to get a shit ton of money back in. That's what's happening in wrestling right now.
If they put it on the main network, I 100% agree with that. But like, just don't do it like how you've done Ring of Honor on your own private thing. Don't do it like how you do Dark and Elevation on YouTube or anything. If they do what you're saying, they put it on the main network, then yeah, it's lucrative, isn't it? A good idea.
So this is my problem. It's that name that you've just mentioned there, Big Tone, because I think, let's be honest, there's one thing that's out there is that you can put out content, and WWE have that reputation. As you said before we went on to recording, then there are people out there who are still very much WWE is the only company. They just knew that Cody left and came back. That's from you attending WrestleMania. Now, what AEW don't want more than anything is a cancellation, because that is the fuel that would burn them so badly, because people will rip them apart and it doesn't set good precedents for anything that comes forward. That's the first thing. Like, if we're talking from that business point of view, because it's there. My biggest problem is what Big Tone's brought up a few times. Ring of Honor. When WWE created a brand split, they had no competition, respectfully. Like, everybody was out. They had all the talent because they scooped up everyone. There was nowhere to go. You now have a chance to go 2 ways. Eventually, that Total Non-Stop Action popped up, and then it became something. And even that was a bit weird, and it took a real time to come through. Then it was they signed Hogan, WWE signed Brett. Everyone saw where the attention went. But this is the problem. Yes, there is a pool of talent that Tony Khan has. And if you're listening, Tony, Big Tone's idea of qualifying to a new show, to the main roster show, is awesome. Take it up. But you've got Ring of Honor as its own brand, Dynamite with potentially Rampage, and then on top of that, you want to bring Collision. As much as we talk about there's a lot of talent in there, you're spreading yourself too thin and too quick as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if there is enough creative within the company to be able to build for all of these divisions. Now, you could be like, oh, yeah, Jericho's great with the pen. This one's great with the pen. Yeah, they probably are. Your Mark Henrys and your big Paul Whites, that could possibly help. But you need those guys to really control the shows, because if it's the talent controlling it, you will see people going into business for themselves more than ever. And Tony Khan, I believe it will be very difficult to manage all of that. On top of that, excuse me, one of the other things I find a huge problem is, as much as they have this pool of talent and there are people that are being unused, there's this constant forbidden door being opened, which is all kinds of cool. But where does that start to do when you start getting people from Mexico? You start getting your Impact guys coming in. You start getting your New Japans coming in. What the hell? It would be too chaotic. And on top of that, people diss AEW for too many titles. I think it's manageable. But you're going to have your Ring of Honor titles, your Dynamite AEW titles, then your Collision titles. It's going to be all over the place. It's going to be too much. And in the world of wrestling content, where do you squeeze all of this in? It's going to be a challenge.
All onto one person, and they can walk around with a finger in the air.
Yeah. But to me, yeah, that is the biggest problem. I think it's too soon. I don't think there's enough backstage talent unless you're going to bring back Ace Steel, and then maybe I will stop and think it's a work. But you're going to need a shitload of backstage talent to be able to create. Let's remember, in a world of UFC, that's two men going into fight, and you've got your divisions. Wrestling, sports entertainment is exactly that. It's entertainment. It's scripted. I'm not going to call it the F word, but it's scripted. There is development that happens in there. It's notorious that the whole world could talk about how many times Vince has ripped up a script during a show. How the hell do you manage 4 shows a week plus your sub shows? That's a lot of work for a new company.
Not being a crazy old man that can't make up your mind. That's just literally it. I give you this. I keep repeating, I don't watch wrestling, but Forbidden Door is a show I will watch on my own. If we don't meet up to watch that, I'll watch that on my own. The last 2 I've seen blew my mind. I love that. No stories, just wrestling, match finish, new match. And they tell the story in the ring. Oh, it's so good. So AEW is a million times as a product better than WWE. As a product in worldwide notice, not being a mark as we are, it has no foot to stand on. It's TNA back when TNA was TNA before it became Impact. No one really knows about it. We know about it because we're out, but I've experienced people going, who? What? Okay. Oh, you watch that crap?
Okay. I think the UK knows about it.
Oh yeah, the UK is the biggest audience, the second biggest audience in the world for wrestling content. As I said, remember UK had a Big Daddy and all them lot. There was a big wrestling thing back in the days. Then it went away. Then everyone has moved over to WWF. Why do you think they brought it over SummerSlam in 1992? Biggest audience. Every time they come here, sold out. They can sell the tickets at stupid prices, and we would still spend our money. We would go there, we'd make the most noise, we'd have the best time every time. The wrestlers love the UK. And
I agree. I agree with that. Cena has taken it upon himself. I think he even gave us a bit of a hint once and said, like, maybe there should be a WrestleMania UK. Still holding you to that, John. But yeah, like it's we are that environment. It's absolutely insane. And we will all be all in. So yeah, that's the one. But no, honestly, for me, AEW as a company, keep doing your thing. But in order to keep doing that, don't spread yourself too thin. So to me, honestly, as exciting as Collision sounds, it's a thumbs down for me. Just not if it's coming, not yet. Not yet.
No, use your chess pieces properly as well. Because a good point you made was about the surprise Forbidden Door flipping open all the time and someone new coming in. That's great and all, but that person took someone's spot, who you've been missing. It took you Bear Rose, it took you Alistair Blacks,
for one night.
Almas, and like again, but it's not just one night because it regularly happens, doesn't it? It happens all the time.
One night a year.
You know what?
Not the show Forbidden Door. Not the show Forbidden Door. When anytime, that's what Den's understanding. When someone walks through the door each night on Rampage, that's opening the Forbidden Door. The pay-per-view I've got no beef with, bro. I'm talking about actual stars coming in on a weekly from Japan, from Mexico, from wherever. And it's like, he's done it again. The Forbidden Door's open.
Yeah, that's what
respect your own talent.
That's where you need another show to fit the rest of the story in. So that's what they're doing for you. They're helping you lot by you can still watch your show, and then they make a new show so I can watch it. Me, the non-wrestling fan, can watch that show.
Let me ask a question. Would you rather AEW add another show or another pay-per-view?
AEW, the company.
Yeah. Because we're talking about them adding another show, right? So what I'm saying is, would you rather
another pay-per-view will make that much of a difference? To be honest,
I don't know what's going on.
So before we go deeper, Leon, or in order for Den or anyone to respond, because it's a good question, elaborate it just a tad more.
Sorry, please do.
Who, me?
Yeah. Elaborate what you mean by adding another pay-per-view.
So, like, we're talking about Collision being another show that they're possibly adding as one of their shows. So what I'm saying is, if it seems like we're on the fence here, where it's too like it seems good or it can be bad, and every point is actually valid. So then I've actually just thought, okay, so would you rather them add another pay-per-view as to another show?
They've only
Oh,
got
for,
four
for me, I get
pay-per-views.
what you're saying now. For me, I rather another show. Simple reason, as I said, they have a crap ton of signings, more than we know. As usual, we always just know the people we can see, but they're signing people. As I said, we have AAA stars. They have New Japan stars that can be on the show. They have they have stars upon stars. They just need to. I know you keep saying utilize them. There's only so much time to utilize the amount of people they have. Bring
Nah,
another show in.
shows, like
You
I
don't
said.
have to watch it. You don't have to watch it. They can bring another show in, and that could be the Forbidden Door style show with all of the other organizations in there. Or
Nah,
you
but
can be
what I
like,
said-
I don't like Punk. I'm only going to watch the Elite, or I don't like the Elite. I'm only going to watch the Punk show. It doesn't matter.
No, I agree with that. But my point is that they've got 2 shows already, Dark and Elevation,
Give me 4
that are
shows.
just not really watched. Yeah, I'm just saying, utilize your time and the things you got better already. Or like I said, add another hour to Rampage, do whatever. Yeah, but like don't just keep it as it is and add another 2 hours. Yeah, because we're gonna like check out at some point.
Yeah, no, you would check, like, once again, there are people that don't watch anything about AEW. They watch all WWE. There are people that don't watch no WWE, but only watch AEW. There's the casual fans that don't even care. Just when it's on, they watch it. And then there's the mega fan that watch everything, and they're the ones complaining there's too much. Do you think a lot of people know there's a lot of stuff?
I was just saying, that's the mega fan right there.
Yeah, but do you know do you know some people don't know there is a Rampage? They just watch Raw,
Right.
SmackDown, and probably watch the other one and go, oh, what's the story? Just there's not enough time to watch all of it. And the only people suffering are the crazy fans that watch everything. You don't have to, unless you're reviewing every single product. Just watch what you can.
100%,
Enjoy what you can.
You don't have to. It's just, but again, the question whether it's a good idea or not. I would say the ultimate answer is let's wait and see. Yeah.
Yes.
They come out with what they do, because who knows, it might be the best idea. It might be, like, as you say, a good way to get a lot of people back on TV. It might be nice to have the locker rooms running smoothly because some are the teams that were on the elite team. So we'll see. We'll see.
You never know. The Forbidden Door could be those 2 shows actually crossing.
That's true.
It could be an internal, instead of going to another company, their own company internally crossing.
Mm-hmm. But one thing I took before you move on, I just don't see why they couldn't have done this with Ring of Honor. I thought that's what they actually intended to do.
Ring of Honor was to buy the library. It was just to buy the library.
And this is the thing. I would have treated Ring of Honor. It's either you treat Ring of Honor like your Collision and do what you have to do. And Punk has Ring of Honor history, so it works perfectly. Or you legit, that's what you do. Or you go back to what Den said, look, just dead the company. Make it WCW. You brought it for the catalog. It's available as a backstream. And that's what
ECW. It's ECW at
well.
this point.
Yeah, exactly that. And here's the thing. For me, going back to your question, Leon, would I prefer it as a show or a pay-per-view? I'd have to go for a show, because now you're giving me something to build the stars. Because if it just became a random pay-per-view, these shows have shown, respectfully, that there's not enough time. Like, how would you build it? Short of giving Punk back Rampage, if it is because of Punk, how do you squeeze it to make it worthy enough for that pay-per-view to care? You're still going to have it will be the same talent on just an extra pay-per-view. That's the problem with that for me on that one. And going back to what you said then, if they were to make it a Forbidden Door show on a weekly basis, the main Forbidden Door would really lose value. So to me,
no. Not a weekly basis. Not a weekly basis. The pay-per-view.
All right.
So instead of them going to Japan and doing business with Japan, they do business with themselves. Can you imagine Raw and SmackDown if they were truly separated, that they never cross, but on one pay-per-view a year? they cross. The champion from SmackDown versus champion from like was it champ? No, there's a thing called that pay-per-view on
It used to be
WWE.
Survivor Series.
No, the champions
Clash of Champs.
thing,
Clash of
Clash
Champs.
of Champs. So like they got Clash of Champs, but in the case of WWE, it doesn't work because everyone's crossing anyway. But imagine in AEW, they actually don't cross, and that's the only night they cross. Lovely.
No, I agree. I've always said that. That was one of those bits, and I will touch on that actually quite shortly. But guys, before we do move on to our next segment, what do you guys think? Comment below, share it, because it's one big show, but it'll be split up as well. Is a brand extension what AEW need right now? We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to interact a bit more. You've seen her positives, you've seen negatives. Tell us where we're right, tell us where we're wrong. Okay, we are done with AEW at the moment, and we're moving into the world of the good old WWE.